I'm going to do like Michelle Obama say, do something. And I'm about to do something. And I want you all to get this book and read this book. And I wish that the news would go through this book like they're going through Project 2025, because it's a lot in this book that people need to be informed about. And thanks to the American Psychiatric Association, who has not stepped up yet and need to change the Goldwater rule, this book will help many Americans across the nation understand the predecessor better and why he can no longer have his finger on the trigger. In all, the predecessor is hostile, impulsive, provocative, suspicious, and has erratic conduct, and poses a grave threat to our national security. The 25th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution addresses the predecessor's disability and secession. Cornell University Law School, 2017. Section 4 of this amendment has never been invoked to evaluate whether a standing president is fit to serve. We, and that's Dr. Gartrell and Marshbacher, called on Congress to act now within these provisions to create an independent, impartial panel of investigators to evaluate the predecessor's fitness to fulfill the duties of the presidency. We urge Congress to pass legislation to ensure that future presidential and vice presidential candidates are evaluated by this professional panel before the general election, and that the sitting president and vice president be assessed on an annual basis. We also recommend that the panel members receive all medical and mental health reports on the president and vice president, with the authorization to request any additional evaluations that the panel deems necessary. Our specific recommendations are as follows. Under Section 4 of the 25th Amendment to the United States Constitution, Congress should immediately constitute an independent, non-partial panel of mental health and medical experts to evaluate the predecessor's capability to fulfill the responsibility of the presidency. And, like I said, the Goldwater rule needs to be wiped out or upgraded by the American Psychiatric Association, who has failed, even at this point today, to speak out. The panel should consist of 3 neuropsychiatrists, 1 clinical, 1 academic, and 1 military, 1 clinical psychologist, 1 neurologist, and 2 internists. Panel members should be nominated by the bipartisan, non-governmental National Academy of Medicine, Abrams, 1999. The experts should serve 6-year terms with a provision that 1 member per year be rotated off and replaced, Abrams, 1999. Congress should enact legislation to authorize this panel to perform comprehensive mental health and medical evaluations of the president and vice president on an annual basis. The legislation should require the panel to evaluate all future presidential and vice presidential candidates. The panel should also be empowered to conduct emergency evaluations that should be in an acute change in the mental or physical health of the president or vice president. The evaluation should be strictly confidential unless the panel determines that the mental health or medical conditions of the president or vice president renders him or her incapable of fulfilling the duties of office. Congress must act immediately. The nuclear arsenal rests in the hands of a president who's shown symptoms of serious mental instability. This is an urgent matter of national security. We call on our elected officials to heed the warnings of thousands of mental health professionals who have requested an independent, impartial neuropsychiatrist evaluation of the predecessor. The world as we know it could cease to exist with a 3 a.m. nuclear tweet. So, the bottom line is, in this book, recommendations on the predecessor at the time when he was in office was given. Now, even though we've had to listen to all the incidents at the trial of all the things that the predecessor has done, then this is a book that needs to be read just like Project 2025 on the predecessor, because the public, the world, we need to be informed. It is the duty to warn. And that's what has been taken away from Bandy Lee, MD, MDIV. So one of the things that I'm saying today is that as we look forward, begin to move forward, and looking to the new candidates, I'm quite sure that they don't mind having those evaluations done. They look pretty straight to me. But the bottom line is, on the predecessor, time and time again, with all the threats, all the emotional, psychological trauma that our nation have listened to, and for the last 8 years or more about the predecessor, has just been a continuous, not post-traumatic stress, but a continual stress. And the conversation needs to come up in this term, as far as saying that we need to have the conversation on mental health and politics. Yes, we do. Mental health needs to be included, because our nation and we the people have been through enough. And once again, this should be aired on all the channels, news channels. It really seriously needs to be aired, because one of the things is that what they're airing now, that's giving us information. But this book here will give us more information. I think that letters were sent to Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi at the time, maybe Barack Obama, I think to Schumer, to many people that could say, is it any way that we could look at the predecessor as being a person that is unfit to serve our nation? And with all the incidents coming up with the military, which I really, really don't like, and many people out there don't like, and the military itself had to send a letter, and that's something that's very unusual, had to send a letter and say, hey, you know, you got to back off. And who wants to be at a cemetery disrespecting the people that have fought for our country, taking a photo shot of loved ones that people saying, you know, we're in a restricted area and these are things that we should not be doing. But once again, we're down for the count, and we're probably only 70-something days to election, and the people need to be informed. They need to know. And with the book that they're addressing, Project 2025, it has been the mainstream media and the legacy media that has failed to keep us informed. And it has been, and I'll give credit where credit is due. Once again, I'll give credit to MSNBC, because it's more like a teaching channel. Because if you go over there to Fox News, you're not going to get the information. And I'm just really tired of New York Times backing up the predecessor. They just need to be taken out the game, period. And CNN, they need to step up their game. A lot of the media still wants the predecessor to be to win, but it is a loss for the nation, because if anybody else had have did anything and basically not even at the magnitude that he's done it, they would be in jail. We all know that. That's the same thing happened to Central Park 5. And the predecessor continued to push ads so that they could go to prison. Now it's his turn. And that's what is just unbelievable. Because I think by now everybody kind of understands that everything that he does, he's just trying to stay out of jail. And every time there's a photo op with him being unserious, and there's Kamala Harris and Tim Walz actually giving out actual policies, then you're looking at one person saying, here's what we're going to do for the nation. And the predecessors are saying, here's what I'm going to do for you. Get my marble new card, and here we go. But we can no longer take any more of the predecessors. The cards have just ran out. Our cards, our mental health cards have ran out. And it's time for us to know as much information about the predecessor as possible. And this book outlines it. It outlines it for future presidents. The problem with the Supreme Court, and that's another part where I can basically say that has enabled the predecessor to do a lot of the things that he's doing, is this is a person that has never been stopped throughout his life. Consequences has been enabled by many, many people. If that's the case, Biden was made, and he did a lot of his making of himself. The predecessor was made by enablers, and they're still enabling him to be the worst of the worst. And with the debate coming up, that should be easy, because the problem with that is they say, well, with different diagnoses, there are diagnoses that you cannot lead to their own devices. And by him never being corrected or directed in a manner that will give him the right behavior to come out on a platform and talk to people, or not stalk people like he did Hillary Clinton, it's going to be a bust. It's going to be a mess. And that's what they're going to have to think about. Are they going to have somebody on the side standing there giving him cues of what to do or how not to go out of order? Because that's what's going to happen. And I think they know that. And I think that's why the predecessor doesn't want to debate. Because we're hearing the same thing over and over and over again. It amazes me when Congress steps out there to defend a person that has these charges, was charged by his peers and was guilty, but yet and still they're still upholding him at any cost. And so everything that he's done wrong has been reversed to, you can do these things. You can shame our nation. You can stand on the United States ground and look like a terrorist or a type of tyrannical person. You can do that. And who backs you? The Republicans. And it's ridiculous. And now I'm just happy to see that a lot of the Republicans are coming out and saying, we're no longer backing him. We want our party back. And I hope they do take their party back. I'm looking forward to the Republicans getting back in line, getting back in step, not having people like Mitch McConnell and the last lady that what was her name? That backed Trump. Nikki Haley. That was ridiculous. You know, all these people have come out, and I'm glad that at the DNC, the convention, I'm really glad that the Republicans stepped up. Adam Kinzinger and the other guy stepped up and said, you know what, we're over here, we're taking a risk. We're not going to be welcomed by our party. We're going to be demeaned, humiliated, called a traitor. But they have, as Michelle Obama said, they are doing something. And that's great. So I'm here today. I'm trying to do something and make people go back to reading this book, or even going out, seeking the doctors out and have them to come on their podcast. Now, I can honestly say that Midas Touch did step out and have this doctor on the podcast. And I was glad of that. And more people need to have the doctors come out in this book, because this is what will help our nation get back in check, because it's going to be a long time before we heal through everything that we've been through. And we never did heal through COVID. We just said, okay, we just keep going. But that was really kind of sad, because he has to be held accountable for all the things that he's done. I'm not blaming COVID on him, but once again, there's a plan, and that plan needs to be followed, and for him to not ever get back into the White House. So on that note, I hope that a lot of people go out, get this book. You can get it. It's also in, I don't know if it's an audio version, but yes, it is. It is an audio version. You can get this book in audio version, and you can also send off for it. But this is the book right here that will keep us informed, also help us make the right decision. And for all the information that's out there now, vote your common sense, vote your conscience, be a patriot, be patriotic. Make sure that when you, well, I'm not going to tell people how to vote, but just make sure that when you vote, it's a vote that you can live with, a vote that you won't have to be tormented behind. And so, on that note, I'm glad to still be on this planet, still giving out information. I'm still continuing to learn. I'm enjoying all the platforms, the information that I'm gathering, all the new teachers. And once again, please, we're down to 70-something days, and vote and make the right decision, a decision that you can live with, a decision that will help restore our country back. And I can't say to normal, because it's a lot of work, and I never kind of understood what normal was, but vote your conscience. And on that note, I'm out.